Hey guys, so today I have a very late e.l.f. haul for you. I picked this up around the holidays. They sent this lovely card with it. Happy holidays, gorgeous. And I did this haul way back around Thanksgiving when they were doing their 50% off Black Friday sale. So yeah, it's been a hot minute. But I thought I'd use these products for a while so I can give you a review plus haul together. So I'll be telling you not only what I got, but what I like, what I don't like, why, and all that type of business. One of the first things I got is this blush palette, and this is the dark one. They have two varieties. I believe the other one's just light. So you get 4 blushes, big mirror. There's a lot of really nice dark, sort of winey colors. A little bit of neutral down here, but most of them are, again, it's for the dark palette, so it's suited for darker skin tones, but I'm a medium skin tone. I feel like these are all fairly flattering shades. These 3 blushes are matte, and then this one up here in this corner has some gold sparkle in it. I think you can kind of tell. I really enjoy this blush palette. I think that the studio line of blushes from e.l.f. is really, really nice, and this texture is very similar to what the studio blush line blushes are. So that's great to see that this formula carried over from the single into the palette, which isn't always the case with makeup brands, so that was nice. I think one of the best things about this palette is being able to mix and match the blushes together. Like, for instance, today I'm wearing this really bright pink with this more subtle color, and it kind of gives a new color altogether than either of them on their own. I highly recommend this one. It's a really nice value, I think, for how much product you're getting and the variety you can get. I also heard a lot of good things about these pressed mineral blushes that e.l.f. just came out with. The 2 colors I have are Cabo, Cabana, and Wanderlust. So Wanderlust is kind of a purpley mauve color, and then Cabo Cabana is a neutral coral kind of color. Originally, I wasn't sure if I should get this color because on some swatches it looked very terracotta kind of brown. It's not a very vivid orange coral, but it's not as brown tone as I was afraid it was going to be. So I actually think this kind of a muted coral is very flattering. I was afraid it was going to be too much of a brown terracotta and it was just going to kind of look muddy. But this is a nice warm tone blush without drifting into the kind of a brown bronze ringed zone. There's Cabo Cabana and there's Wanderlust. So you can see they're mainly matte, but you do every once in a while kind of pick up on a shimmer, but it's not really that noticeable. I will say I like the formula on these, but I don't feel like they are quite as blendable as the normal Studio blush line. I do think they're more pigmented though than the normal Studio blush line, so I think that's kind of where you have to be a little bit more careful with your blending. So overall, I would definitely recommend these. I think that if you enjoy the normal Studio blush line, but you kind of want a little bit more of a pigment punch, these would be a great way to go. If you watched my December favorites, you will have already seen this one. This is the e.l.f. Daily Moisture Stick. So it's basically a twist up kind of clear gel stick. The way that I use it is I'll just take a little bit on my finger, and then throughout the day or at the end of the day, I'll just dab a little bit, and it just helps to rehydrate that area and kind of rejuvenate it a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but my concealer towards the end of the day can kind of start to look, I don't know, a little bit dry and kind of start to really accentuate the lines underneath my eyes. So this just really helps sort of freshen up the makeup. I don't find that it disturbs or kind of makes the concealer run or smear or anything like that. It just kind of gives it a little extra boost at the end of the day so that I look a little bit more awake and excited to be going places and doing things. Emily Noel was the first one I heard talk about this, so I definitely recommend her recommendation of this product because it definitely is a really inexpensive way to kind of perk up your makeup at the end of the day. Another product that I've been hearing about a lot on YouTube from e.l.f. are these smudge pots. They are cream eyeshadows. They come in these little jars. The packaging is really cute, but I will say it's super chunky. If you look at it from the side, it looks huge, but then if you look at it from here, it's obvious that it's just this tiny portion in the center and the rest is packaging. The colors I picked up in these are Ain't That Sweet, Back to Basics, and Gotta Glow. And they are really awesome products. I have used them on their own without any eyeshadow primer, and they really do last for a long, long time. I can pretty much get through the entire day without any creasing or wear off, flaking, anything like that. So I have found that these wear pretty much just as well as the color tattoos, but they are less expensive. So that's a great find. I love it when things like that happen. You have Ain't That Sweet, which is the pinky color, Back to Basics, which is the sort of bronzy shade in the middle, and then Gotta Glow is the gold on the end. I definitely recommend these. I think they're a great value for the money, especially if you are a cream eyeshadow lover like me. Product I picked up is the e.l.f. Hydrating Under Eye Primer. It comes as a little pump, so you just sort of squirt it out. It's this pink cream, and you sort of blend it in, and it goes to clear. I did not like this. Even if I used just a little bit of this, I couldn't really make it work for me. It would just always crease whatever concealer I put over top of it. So definitely hydrating. I guess maybe you could use it as an under eye cream, but for an under eye cream, I don't feel like it has enough moisture in it. But for a primer, it doesn't seem to have enough silicone or some sort of long-wearing property to it to make the concealer last longer. So I think this is just one of those products that kind of tries to be two things and fails at both. Or at least it does for me. I couldn't make this under eye primer work for me. I also picked up this e.l.f. Nourishing Cuticle Pen with avocado and almond oils. So it's kind of got like a felt tip type of deal, and you're supposed to sort of rub it along your cuticles, and a little bit of oil comes out, and it's supposed to be hydrating. I just find that not a lot of product comes out. Even if you press kind of hard, you just barely get out any product. So if you have really dry cuticles, I don't think this is going to give you enough moisture. I just don't think enough product comes out of this pen to really do anything. So I would say it's a pass on the cuticle pen. I have the e.l.f. HD Mattifying Balm, which I was really excited to try because there's a lot of high-end brands that do this sort of balm that are kind of silicone. They're supposed to kind of mattify everything, fill in pores, and you know, minimize imperfections. Specifically, I have the Mally product that's like this. It's a silicone sort of balm that really works well to mattify things, hide pores, all that kind of stuff. This is not a dupe for the Mally, which is unfortunate because the Mally is kind of expensive. This is a lot wetter of a formula, if that makes sense. Like, it feels wetter and it's not as firm when you put your finger in it. It's more of almost a cream, while the Mally's is almost a solid that you sort of run your sponge or finger over top of. Yeah, it kind of comes out wet, and then you do put it on, and it is a silicone-y feel, but it doesn't give the same effect immediately when you apply. Like, if you were to apply the Mally to one side and the e.l.f. balm to the other, you could tell that the Mally side was matter and smoother looking from the very beginning. If you're looking for a mattifying touch-up throughout the day, I think that this would be fine, but if you're looking for something to replace one of those really high-end mattifying balms like the Mally balm, then this is going to be disappointing because it just doesn't perform to the same level as those do. I picked up two new eyeshadow palettes from e.l.f., and these are the Prism eyeshadows. And I got the set in Sunset and Naked, and these were actually pretty pricey for e.l.f. I was kind of hesitant to get these, but then with the sale, everything was 50% off, so I was like, well, what the heck, 50% off, I'll try them. And I will say, I think they're worth the money, the extra money, because they really are a nice eyeshadow formula. These eyeshadow palettes, you get 6 shades, and they are all shimmer. You get a little applicator here. This is the Naked palette, and as you can see, it is just a lot of neutral tones. I think the texture and the quality of these feels very much like a even more expensive brand, like something you expect from, I don't know, like the Balm or something like that. Like, that's how creamy these eyeshadows feel. Definitely gotten the most use out of this Naked palette. You have some highlighting shades here and then lid shades. The only sort of criticism I would have is that these two shades swatch almost identical. Also, so, you know, if you're only getting 6 shadows, you'd kind of like some variation. So I wish that these two were a bit more different in shade tone. And the only other thing I'll say is that they kind of come with almost like an overspray. I don't know if you can tell, like, this one looks darker in the center, but that's just because that's where I've sort of been using my finger and kind of rubbed off the overspray. I don't know if you can kind of tell, like, some of them, they look different colored in the center where I've actually been using them, just because there's almost a layer on top you have to get through to get to the real color. Which isn't a huge deal, but just when you first open it, it looks a little bit different than they actually apply. Here are the shades in the Naked palette. You have your shimmers, this really pretty champagne color, and these two are a little bit different, but really, like I was saying, those two bronzes, I wish there was a little bit of a bigger difference between the two. And then you get a really nice dark shade to, you know, kind of deepen up the crease, add a little bit of smokiness to it. And these light colors I think are awesome for highlighting your inner corner, your brow bone, so I think it really is a nice palette to have overall. And the quality is really nice. The Sunset palette just has a little more bright colors with purples and golds. I have a few more complaints with this palette. This gold in here looks so pretty, but it just doesn't really have that much pigmentation to it, which is kind of depressing. But today I am wearing these two colors on my lid. They're not coming up real different in the viewfinder, but one of them is a little bit darker. So I just have one all over my lid and then one in the outer corner, and I think it's a really pretty color combination. They're sort of pinky mauves, these two, so I love the way they look. And then if you want some color pops, obviously you get the pink and the purple in this palette. So they're really, really pretty. Here is the Sunset palette swatch. Sorry, I ran out of room again. But there's your highlight shade, your pinkies and your purples, and then this is the gold. The gold, if you put a primer underneath it, it will show up better. But yeah, it's just not as pigmented as you originally think it would be. And then that's the darker mauve color, and then that's your purple. That's the very darkest color in the palette. Overall, I would say these Prism eyeshadows are a really good buy just because the texture of them is so creamy. You can use a brush with them, but I think you get a little bit more payoff pigmentation wise if you just use your finger and dab it on. That's how I've been doing it, and I think it turns out really, really pretty, and it's just a really nice shimmery eyeshadow palette to have, especially since metallics and shimmery eyeshadows are so in right now. This is a really inexpensive way to get a whole palette full of really nice shimmery creamy eyeshadows. And then I also got this lip product. This is the e.l.f. Mineral Lip Tint, and it's a little twist up product, and this is in the shade Berry, and it's exactly what it says it is. It's just a really nice berry tone. I could actually use a touch up right now. A little bit of a touch up, but it's a really pretty bright berry color. It has a lot of moisture to it and a kind of a sheen along the lines of lip butter, but a lighter formula, and it definitely packs a pigment punch. I really like this. I think it's very moisturizing. You get a lot of color with it. So I bought the retractable lip brush, and if you watched my last e.l.f. haul, I bought a retractable lip brush then, and it came broken. And this one, I guess I should have learned the first time, also came broken. So there is no brush tip to this brush. You're supposed to click it and something's supposed to come out, and the little clicker is broken. So this is a huge fail. Don't recommend, don't advise anyone to try this. This is my second time trying to get this retractable lip brush. Second time it's come broken. So apparently it's not in the cards for me to have this brush. I also picked up this small precision brush. It's just a teeny tiny little brush. I wanted this for, I'm having some skin troubles lately, and these type of brushes are just really good for dabbing on product just right on top of your blemish, so you don't have to keep caking up more and more foundation on. You just apply it right to where you need it to add a little bit of extra coverage with your concealer, foundation, whatever. And I think this brush is perfectly sized for that, no complaints. Finally, I didn't pick this brush up in this haul, but I wanted to throw it in because it's a recent e.l.f. find. This is the e.l.f. complexion brush. So it's a big sort of paddle brush. It kind of pinches in on the side. I just wanted to throw this in there because I've mentioned that a lot of these new blushes are really pigmented, and you know, it can be a little bit tricky to sometimes apply really pigmented blushes, but this brush makes applying pigmented blushes so easy. If you have a pigmented blush in your stash that always gives you a hard time when you're putting it on, try this brush out. It's super inexpensive, and it's just great for putting on a really tricky blush because I think the big bristles and the syntheticness of it, I don't know, it's magic. So that is it, guys. If you stuck with me throughout this whole long haul slash review, congratulations. It was definitely a longer one. Hopefully I've been able to edit it down and make it somewhat palatable, but I hope you found this useful. I know I love watching this type of hauls, so I can kind of pick out what I should be buying, what would best fit me and my needs makeup wise. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see all the other videos I make. There'll be more hauls and reviews and things like that coming down the road. So thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Bye!